In light of what's currently, top in the newsreels currently in the world, like namely there's a conflict in Gaza. What's the chatter in the college scene about this? Are students and faculty talking about this? I don't know who wants to pick this up first. This I know is an uncomfortable topic.
Yeah, I can go first. I'll say that students are very vocal about it, especially on social media. We actually had a I think it was a sit-in in Hornbeck Plaza yesterday, and McKeldin. There was two different.
That's at the University of Maryland.
Yeah, McKeldin is a library.
McKeldin is a
library.
library.
Also a library.
They're two libraries, very public places. Hornbeck. McKeldin is the very famous mall that we have.
Yeah.
And
where the turtle is outside.
The turtle is that's a Testudo, yes.
All right.
And when I got to school yesterday, because I drive there, there was a lot of police presence trying to shut it down at some point before it got dark. But students were outside. They were very vocal about their opinion on the matter. But outside of that, the school itself has been very silent, except for their one take supporting Israel in the matter of what's going on in Gaza.
Okay, and is this something that's happening across American colleges, or is this just a University of Maryland thing, Rehema?
This is definitely college-wide and nationwide. I think that our generation, specifically the part of Gen Z that is currently in college, we are very vocal on the internet and in general to authority and to those in power. So it's not just University of Maryland. There's a lot of social activism, social media accounts where they broadcast what's occurring at hotspots around the country, and most of these hotspots are universities. So people are very, very active.
And is there any fear of, because in this day and age of social media, something called cancel culture. Is there any fear that some students have of, if I say something and then it's published somewhere, I could get in trouble or I could get sanctioned for this or that?
Yeah, I'll say that there is that fear, but the fear is more of saying depending on where you go. For a student like me, if you're a scholarship student, if you say something that is against your university's view, they can find, and the thing is with a lot of these predominantly white universities, they can find a way to revoke your scholarship. You might not have done or said anything wrong, but they do have that power to say you're no longer a scholarship student or even expel you for something that they don't. Especially if you go to a private university, it's very easy for them to just expel you. And that students have that fear. I've seen it's not for issues like this, but they have gotten scholarships revoked for what they wore to prom actually when they already got accepted to that university.
Ooh, okay.
And it is very, and you will even say oh, why would you do that? But it's also if I hadn't posted this or if this hadn't happened, none of this would have happened. So there's always that fear of watching what you post, but it's just I think it's more having sense and making sure what you're posting is good.
Okay. All right. And to all those who are tuned in, we're going to read your comments are coming in so thick and fast. I have Indefatigable Wanjeri saying MIT today threatened to suspend students who demonstrated in support of Palestinians. Boston schools have been quick to threaten expulsion. So we are living in a very interesting time, and it's quite weird that this is happening in the United States, because typically this kind of behavior sometimes designated to African countries, Middle Eastern countries. So now we're in a situation where we're now seeing speech being muzzled live. Mike, I don't know whether you have something quick to say about that.
Well, I think there's an awakening that's going on.
Yeah.
And part of the awakening is a realization that, so one thing you can talk about social media and the opening of social media is that access to material to read and educate yourself is now higher than it was back then.
Yes.
So
and this generation is getting access to things that we never had access to during their age, and they're getting it on real time. As events are happening, they can go and verify for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there is information, and also I think credit also to them. There's a way that whatever they're doing triggers you to be like, okay, what's going on over here? what is this all about?
Yeah.
And once you Google or once you check, you can read up on it. Now, depending on what side of the aisle you want to be on,
Yeah.
right? But the information is readily available, and in some instances, depending on the sources that you check, you can be fact checked right there and then. You can actually see
In
what's
real
going
time.
on in real time.
Yeah.
And that is what is going on. So
Yeah.
there's in one aspect, free speech, you can say, is being muzzled, but information is not being muzzled.
Yeah.
It's there's a floodgate,
Yeah.
and voluminous at
Yes.
that.
Even the Meta-owned platforms, like Facebook, Instagram, that have been accused before of shadow
Trying
banning.
to shadow banning.
Yeah, there's other platforms outside that are showing. So things that are being said, for example, in the news, kids are getting lives, like videos on TikTok, and they're saying this is what's happening, but this is what the news is saying. Yeah.